Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the playoffs Final Four here for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals, brought to you by Rapid Fired Pizza, as well as Old School Ninjas and Jeffrey Meyer with Nitro Racing. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight in 1080p, 60 frames a second. As always, folks, I hope you all are ready for the action here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. Again, it is the Final Four of the playoffs round, the final race of the playoffs, and going to determine who is the champion of the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals Series. This is going to be quite an exciting race here, folks, as drivers make their way out onto track here and get their qualifying runs in before the start of the race here today. Right now, the top four are the following drivers. David Santini with 2,174 points, a very dominant lead on the points battle right now for the championship. Colby Baber with 2,137 points, Barry Stevens with 2,126 points, and Evan Longacre in the fourth place spot with 2,124 points. Only 2 points separating the third and fourth place spots, and only 11 points separating the third and second place spots. So still plenty of battles to be had throughout the top four here. And just to top it all off, there is rewards being given out for the championship here today. So the championship payouts for the top four drivers are: the first place driver will come home with $220, second place driver $173, third place $141, and fourth place $94. So whether it's nearly $100 or over $200, drivers have something to gain here tonight, whether it's a win in a trophy or something other. So right now, currently the fastest driver out on track right now, David Santini in the number 79 machine with a 30.03 as his best time. Going to rip it around the track here a second time, going through 3 and 4 at this moment. Going to see if he can put down a better time at this moment. So David Santini, again, the championship leader, showing his dominance here early on in the playoffs, or rather in the qualifying session here before we see the start of the race. And we have yet to see anyone else that is in that playoff spot put down a time here. Actually, I take that back. We do have Colby Baber up there in second with a 30.15 as his best time. Evan Longacre coming into the fifth place spot here with a 30.24, so a little bit of separation here between these drivers. But again, this is only qualifying, not exactly an indication as to what we'll see throughout the race here today. So essentially just going to determine where you're going to start out for the beginning of the race here. But David Santini and Colby Baber going to be up in the front row as things are currently set out. But there goes Evan Longacre, second time around the field here, comes out with a 30.13, just ahead of Colby Baber. And surprisingly, no one else able to crack into the sub 30.1 time here. Only David Santini is the only driver that has done that here so far. So now we're taking a look here at Jamie Knopf in the 48 machine as he makes his way out of turn number 4 and across the checkered line. That's going to be the start of his flying lap here at Nashville Superspeedway. Going to see what kind of lap times he can put down here before the start of the race here today. Jamie Knopf going to put himself up here in the fourth place spot. Excuse the timing tower, and it's a little bit of funkiness here today, but hopefully that'll get resolved here shortly. But anyhow, Braxton DeWeese, the number 8 machine, going to put himself out on track here. Going to see what kind of times he can put down. So A lot of these drivers not going to be competing, obviously, for the playoff spot here tonight, but going to be showing up and putting on some good competition and a good show for everyone watching at home. And I'm sure that the drivers competing for that championship spot, David Santini, Evan Longacre, Colby Baber, as well as Barry Stevens, who's just outside of the top 3 at this moment. But you can see the majority of them up there in the top 5 at this moment. So qualifying is over. Our drivers have now found where they're going to start at the beginning of the race, and we have our starting lineup here. Up in the front row, we have David Santini, Jamie Knopf taking that front row. Second row is Evan Longacre, Colby Baber, Matthew Dyer, Matt Knight in the third row, Robert Anderson, Billy Fitzgerald in our fourth row, Barry Stevens, Stephen Davis going to be in the fifth row, Brandon Andrews, Julio Villalobos in our sixth row. As we move ourselves down the grid here, Mike Howerton, Jeffrey Meyer in our seventh row, Braxton DeWeese, Scott Steffens, in our eighth row, John Bender and Chris Hansen rounding out the field in our ninth row. So just awaiting for the drivers to make their way around with the pace truck or the pace car. Okay, never mind. I'm still back at Martinsville where we had a pace truck. Anyway, and speaking of Martinsville, taking a look at the race last week where Colby Baber managed to take the win, managed to gain himself quite a bit of points as well in that race, but wasn't quite enough to be able to surpass David Santini for the lead in the championship spot. But nonetheless, he was able to gain a few points and put himself ever closer. Billy Fitzgerald coming home with the second place spot, and Evan Longacre in third, also having a good points night there at Martinsville. David Santini, the only driver that was not having quite the best night there at Martinsville, coming home with the least amount of points out of the top 4. But still maintaining the lead here for the championship. So David Santini still has a little bit of room to work with. But I think at this point, I'm not entirely sure how many points the drivers will receive at the end of the race here. But I can only imagine that David Santini, I mean, I can only imagine he's got to finish within the top 10. And maybe even a little less than that. I'm not sure. If anyone has any further information on that and wants to correct me on that, feel free. But I do believe that David Santini, I mean, given his past performances, I don't think he's going to have much of an issue, finishing anywhere near the top 10 here tonight. So I think it'll be relatively easy for David Santini to keep himself up here with the action here in Nashville. I mean, this is going to be a good action-packed race and a good track for it. 169 laps that we are going to see here tonight with a lap 50 for a stage break caution. Green flag goes down from the flag stand, and away we go here for the very first time. David Santini off to a very good start here, getting himself nice and spread out from the rest of the pack as much as he possibly can. Going to be a lot of action here through the midfield. Drivers side by side. We've got 2 wide, 3 deep action just outside of the top 10 here. Barry Stevens kind of leading the charge of this group at this moment in the number 78 machine. A little bit of a wobble there through 3 and 4. Having to check up from the 45 of Julio Villalobos. There's trouble though. Robert Anderson, the 47 machine, gets into the wall there. A little bit of contact having contributed to that one here. Let's take this back. And take a look at the instant replay and see just how this unfolded here. Robert Anderson primarily involved in this one. I don't know. It looks like he potentially just got it all on his own here. Just a little loose for the 47 car, tries to correct it, and ultimately collects, I think that was Scott Steffens. There was definitely another driver, I think, that he got that was involved in this one here, but Scott Steffens also getting into the mix of it here as well, but ultimately avoiding that wall. So great work there, but Robert Anderson not having the best start to the race here tonight, but he's going to keep it out here, going to keep things going in the NOS 47 machine and see what he can continue to do here. Hopefully get some of those kinks worked out before it gets any worse here, but you never know. Early race jitters, definitely a thing. I know I have been a victim of it myself, so sometimes it happens. Sometimes you're just a little too hyped up at the start of the race and gotta dial things back a little bit. And I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching, everyone that's here enjoying the action here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway for the playoffs Final Four, the championship determining round here for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals. Again, brought to you by Rapid Fired Pizza, Old School Ninjas, and Jeff Meyer with Nitro Racing. Great to have all of these sponsors here on board for this season, and really great to have their support behind us, or behind the league rather, and for allowing us here at Team Goon Squad to cover the action and bring you the broadcast here for these races every single week. So the field just now patiently waiting for the pace car to make its way down into the pits and get itself ready, or rather get the field ready for another restart here. Lap 4 of 169. Definitely going to be a little interesting here, getting those tires warmed up and probably cooled right back down here with that caution coming out as early as it did, but we'll wait and see here just how this is going to affect things. Pace car is in as we make our way through turn 4. Green flag drops here once again, and back to green flag racing. David Santini taking no time at all to get on the loud pedal and again try and increase that gap between himself and the rest of the field as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, two wide battles happening. Matthew Dyer, Evan Longacre going to be side by side there for a moment. Dyer going to be able to slip away here just a little bit. So we're going to take a little bit of a wider view here of what's going on in the top 5 and a little bit beyond that here as well. Looking at Jamie Knopp in the number 48 machine, currently tracked behind Matt Knight in the 25 single file. It looks like for a good chunk of the field we've got some two-wide action just outside of the top 10 here. You can see Scott Steffens as well as Barry Stevens duking it out here as we go through 3 and 4. But otherwise, drivers keeping things relatively smooth and steady here on this restart. Not getting themselves too daring, and not that they were really doing anything before that was too daring or risky. It was just driver got a little loose and it cascaded into other drivers getting involved, but ultimately it wasn't necessarily a... Oh boy, Mike Howerton, the 51 machine. Starting to see a little bit of pressure here from Braxton DeWeese in that number 8 car, as well as his teammate Scott Steffens, the 55 machine, starting to get on the tail of the 50 of Jeffrey Meyer in the Nitro Racing 50 machine. So far we've got some side-by-side action happening through some parts of the field here, and otherwise looking fairly good here. After the restart, everyone has continued to show that they've definitely have got a good bit of momentum to rely on here, and they're going to try and keep this green flag run going here, I think, until that lap 50 stage break, where everyone will be able to come down into the pits. Everyone will be able to get a fresh set of tires. And that's one of the things that is really enjoyable here about the MSRA. Oh boy, some side-by-side action here between Matt Knight and Evan Longacre for the 4th place spot. Matt Knight going to push his way up into 4th place here. Now Jamie Knopf looking for some of that action here as well. Brandon Andrews, meanwhile, goes off track here in the number 24 car. Brings it back onto the track here, and I got to imagine that was just a little bit of a mistake there coming out of 2. So right now, as the field up towards the front, really kind of take things single file. And really, majority of this field is starting to do much the same here. Julio Villalobos showing that he's been involved in an incident here. Not entirely sure what it was here. And it seems to be that, there we go, a little bit of a hiccup there on our view of the race here. But anyhow, continuing on with the action, Colby Baber, Matt Knight, Jamie Knopf, all going to be very close to one another for the battle for 3rd, and really starting to see the separation starting to happen throughout this field as we start to get further into this green flag run here. I mean, it's still quite early in the run, but you can see where drivers, once you get out of a draft, once you get out of a groove with another driver or drivers, you can really start to fall back, and it can be hard to get that momentum back. While Nashville isn't the biggest quote-unquote super speedway, you can definitely get a lot of speed here. Currently, top speeds are just about 180 miles an hour. Braxton DeWeese, Stephen Davis going to take it side by side here as well. You can also see Mike Howerton, the 51 machine, trying to keep himself up with things as well. And let's also check in here with Barry Stevens here, the 78 driver. This is Barry Stevens at this moment, 3rd place in the playoffs right now, not having the best start to his race here tonight, sitting in 12th at the moment, with the rest of his competitors all mostly within the top within the top 6 here. I was going to say the top 5, but Evan Longacre has fell down at 6th place here. Colby Baber into 5th. Meanwhile, David Santini continues on with his very strong lead here. And Braxton DeWeese is currently the hard charger of the race, currently up 8 spots from where he started at the beginning of today's race. So definitely seeing a lot of movement, a lot of shake and bacon happening here from the 8 driver. And as we kind of click off laps here, getting halfway to the stage break here at lap 50, going to start to wonder what Braxton has in store for the latter half of tonight's race. But everything looking calm, everything looking very steady at this moment here. Drivers going side by side, though, as they come across the checkered line. Scott Steffens, Barry Stevens, the number 78 machine, going to be down on the inside as they go through turn 1 and 2. Taking a single file as they exit turn 2 onto the back straightaway. Scott Steffens. Now going to see Billy Fitzgerald, the 22 machine, take it down onto the inside and make the pass here. And now Colby Baber starting to fight alongside here with Matt Knight, or close to it here. He's going to take it onto the inside, going through 3 and 4. Matt Knight giving it his all here as they come across the checkered line, trying to fight his way into the top 3 here. But Colby Baber also looking to do this, looking to do the same here. Baber trying to retain his second place spot in the championship here in the playoffs, to be able to secure his reward at this moment. As David Santini's continued to hold on to this lead, but that isn't exactly going to mean that he's going to win the race here, because anything can happen. And once we get past the stage break at lap 50, anything can possibly happen, especially once we get into green flag pit stops. If those do become a thing here, it could get rather interesting here at Nashville. That's a great view here of Mike Howerton, the 51 driver, getting sandwiched between both the 25 of Matt Knight as well as Stephen Davis in the number 90 machine. Single file again for the most part at this point in the race here, so not a whole lot of drivers going to be unless the opportunity arises, we're not going to see a whole lot of really kind of just attempts really at trying to make some aggressive passes here. Well, not necessarily aggressive, but really trying Mike Howerton's showing me that that's not the case here. He's all over the bumper of Matt Knight in that 25 machine, the Warfighter Coffee machine. I believe it's Warfighter Coffee. Chasing along here into turn 1. You can see as we watch above from the chopper camera as we exit out of 2 onto the back straightaway. Barry Stevens just behind in the number 78 machine getting lined up here. And you can see just where the cars start to rotate going into turn 3 as well. You can see when they turn that wheel and start to get on the brakes there just a little bit. If I recall correctly, here at Nashville, I don't know if you have to get on the brakes, but I do know that you can't take it full throttle like a traditional super speedway. There is a little bit of throttle management involved here at this track, so you can't exactly just full send it. And if you're wondering if it maybe just crossed your mind like it did me, no, you cannot do what Ross Chastain did at Martinsville and just send it through 3 and 4 and just hug the wall and pray. No, that's definitely not going to work here, but definitely a legendary move and will probably go down in history for the rest of NASCAR history. That was just absolutely insane. Anyhow, we're going to take a look here at a ride along with Braxton DeWeese in the number 8 machine here. Oh boy, Evan Longacre just in front of him in the number 95 machine, trying to get himself up to the tail end of Colby Baber, who sits just about, actually nearly 2 seconds ahead of him at this point in the race. But DeWeese here now seeing a little bit of traffic here from Stephen Davis as he makes his way down onto the inside. Davis with a clean pass here up into 6th place here. Davis now falling back DeWeese falling back here into 7th place, putting up another attempt here to make a pass as we go through 1 and 2. We already came around there. Mile and 3/10 rather. Track that we have here. So not the longest super speedway ever, but definitely enough to get these cars moving. So lap 33 of 169. David Santini continues on with his lead and has continued to just dominate this race here. Jamie Knopp has moved up to, has stayed in his 2nd place starting position here. Matthew Dyer has moved up 2 spots. Colby Baber back into his 4th place starting spot, and Evan Longacre trying to fight his way back up into the top 3. Stephen Davis and Braxton DeWeese, they're now going at it for the 6th place spot here. As we're going through 1 and 2 now, DeWeese giving it all that he's got here in that number 8 machine, trying to see what he can possibly do here as we exit turn 2 onto the back straightaway. Drivers at this point now going to be preparing for that stage break to come out and getting themselves ready. Come down into the pits, get a fresh set of good gears, as well as fill up on fuel. All the necessary things that you need to do to complete a race here at Nashville Superspeedway. And really, I'm going to be curious to see here if there's going to be any drivers that are maybe going to take, kind of the strategy, the approach that, hey, maybe I only need to take a set of right side tires. I really haven't been burning through the insides, or maybe the reverse way around. And take a splash of fuel, obviously. Going to need that. But, yeah, I'm curious to see if any drivers here have really sort of scrubbed the tires off. It definitely seems like Nashville is the kind of place that you can take things relatively easy on the tires and not get too aggressive on them. You can definitely save the rubber on them for a little while and be able to, only have to come into the pits for one set of tires, at least for this one stop. Next time around, you'll definitely want to look at getting that other set changed out. But for this first stage break, I wonder if anyone's going to try that approach. Probably not. Most of the field will probably come in for both sets, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jeffrey Meyer, Braxton Deweese, they're both side by side here as they go through 3 and 4. Exiting out onto the front half of the track here, across the checkered line. Here at Nashville Superspeedway, lap 39 of 169. Here for the championship Final 4 round here for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals. And I want to give a shout out here to Chris Deweese, saying good evening, everyone. Let's go to the number 8 of Braxton Deweese. Thank you for joining us, Chris, and also good luck here to Braxton. Doing a phenomenal job here, currently matching Jeffrey Meyer in position changes here at this moment, both up 7 spots from where they started here at the beginning of the race here. Jeffrey Meyer currently holding on to 7th, Braxton Deweese in the 8th place spot here. So good racing all around, everyone doing a phenomenal job, but I got to give a shout out here. I got to give a moment here to David Santini, the number 79 driver, a driver we really haven't talked a whole lot about here since the start of the race. I mean, you just saw that shot of him making his way into one. There is absolutely no one around this guy right now. He is driving all by himself out here on track. I mean, take a look at this shot here from above, from the blimp camera here at Nashville. He's just taking a Sunday cruise. I mean, it couldn't get any easier here for David Santini. Just credits to the 79 driver. He's done a phenomenal job here this season and has definitely earned his way into that championship spot and being able to, well, at the looks of things, potentially be calling himself the champion of the 2022 season. So David Santini definitely doing a phenomenal job here tonight. And Evan Longacre, I mean, down there just a little bit further than he probably would have liked. And even Barry Stevens starting to get up here into the mix of things as well. Currently sitting in the 9th place spot, but Barry slowly but surely kind of chipping away at those positions and trying to get himself back up here into the mix of things. But lap 43 of 169, we're going to see that yellow flag come out here very shortly, indicating the stage break here tonight and getting ourselves ready for the next restart, really, and see what these guys have in store. And it's kind of judging by what we've seen so far. I mean, David Santini, Jamie Knopp, these two drivers definitely have this restart here at Nashville down pat. I think it's going to be very difficult for anyone to kind of mimic what they have done here, or really be able to, because again, the race leader has they hold the pace, essentially, for lack of a better term here. But really, before we get into that stage break, I mean, seeing a lot of separation throughout the field, and I'm wondering if that is some drivers just kind of taking a step back here, just saving their energy, saving their car for the end of the race here tonight. And we have it looks to be that we have the BDR fan page members joining us here tonight, cheering on the number 8 of Braxton Deweese. So definitely a lot of supporters behind the number 8 driver here as he makes his way out of turn 4 on to the front straightaway. But Braxton doing a phenomenal job up into 8th place and setting himself up for a good restart once the stage break comes out here. He'll definitely be able, if he's able to continue on the path that he started with here, moving up 7 spots, I think he'll definitely find himself up there with the likes of David Santini, Jamie Knopf, Colby Baber, Matt Dyer, Evan Longacre up in the top 5. And Stephen Davis and Jeffrey Meyer, I mean, these two drivers here as well, both seeking to get themselves up into that top 5 spot here as well. So everyone looking for a good finish here tonight, including the top 4 for the championship and for the playoffs. But only 2 more laps until we see the yellow flag fly here. So just a couple more laps. And for David Santini, just a couple of minutes of just leisure driving here. It seems like, I don't know what he put in that 79 car before the start of the race. I don't know if he managed to sneak a bottle of NOS past Tech or what he managed to do here. But David, I mean, in all seriousness, has just done an incredible job dominating tonight's race here at Nashville. And hopefully drivers coming down into the pits and so on and so forth will be able to kind of figure something out down in the pits, be able to make some adjustments, what have you. If I do recall correctly, this is an open setup league, so drivers are allowed to make changes to their cars and do what they need to make the car drive the way that they need it to. So some drivers might be making some minor adjustments down in the pits during this stage break, and it will fly here the next time around once David Santini makes his way across the checkered line here as he makes his way through turns 3 and 4 at this point in time. And while that all happens here, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a little bit of a commercial break up here in the booth. Go ahead, grab myself another Gatorade here. My voice is already starting to feel a little bit drier than usual. It's that good old change of the seasons and weather getting colder. I love it. Love this time of year. Anyway, David Santini, Jamie Knopp, Colby Baber, Matthew Dyer, Evan Longacre, all in our top 5 here at the moment. There you can see the rest of the field on the left-hand side of your screens as drivers get themselves down through the pits, do what they need to do, and get themselves ready for the next restart. And while they do that, we're going to go ahead and step away from the booth here for a moment, give ourselves a commercial break, and we'll be back in just a few short moments. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. And welcome back, race fans, as we see some drivers making their way now out of pit road, screaming their way out of their pit stalls here, back out onto track as quickly as they possibly can. All right, apologies for that, folks. Just waiting for the lights to go off on the pace car before we get ourselves back to green flag here. Taking a look here, the 95, Evan Longacre and Stephen Davis back here in the 5th and 6th place spots. And you can also see Barry Stevens, the 78 driver, back here in the 8th place spot, looking for another good opportunity on this restart to move up a few more positions and be able to put up a fight here going into, well, his last chance here for the playoff set. Be able to move up another spot or be able to retain his spot here tonight, as Barry Stevens, if I recall here, is the 3rd place driver in the playoffs. Evan Longacre only 2 points behind him. So at this rate, Evan Longacre is going to be able to move up at least one spot and potentially one more if Evan is able to track down Colby Baber and make a pass there. Pace car is in. The green flag is up in the flag stand as we get ready to go through the Geico restart zone. And there goes the flag. It drops down and the pedals go down with it here at Nashville Superspeedway. Colby Baber, Jamie Knopf going to be side by side through 1 and 2. Baber able to get a little bit more of a run. Coming out of turn 2, a little bit of side-by-side action between Stephen Davis and Jeffrey Meyer. Davis up on the outside line here, a little bit of a wobble from the number 90 machine here as well. Looking a little bit further beyond that, the 25 of Matt Knight stuck up on the outside lane here, looking for some action as we come out of turn 4. Up onto the front curve here once again. Matt Knight looking for some action up on the top lane here, seeing that speed that he can get up on top here. Trying to make it work. Braxton DeWeese, you can see down on the bottom lane here as well. Currently the driver, potentially in the hot seat for some real action there. As Matt Knight, a little bit of a wobble out of the back end of the 25 machine, backs off there. Trying to collect himself and keep himself in the race here, but Braxton DeWeese narrowly avoiding catastrophe there. Matt Knight into the wall. Out of turn 4, scraped to the right-hand side of that 25 machine. Not exactly having the best restart here for Matt Knight. Not exactly certain. Oh, boy. Mike Howerton, a little bit of trouble in the number 51 machine, trying to keep things together here out on the back straightaway. Taking a look back up front here for just a second. Colby Baber moved himself up into 2nd place here. Jamie Knopp down into 3rd. Colby Baber trying to track down the race leader and give him some action here. Try to put up a fight here for the win here for the final race of the playoffs and of the season here for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals. Brought to you by Rapid Fired Pizza, Old School Ninjas, and Jeffrey Meyer with Nitro Racing. Janice McGrew giving a shout out here to the number 78 driver, Barry Stevens, saying, "You got this, go, go, go." And I think Barry Stevens is doing all that he can here, especially on this last restart, kind of starting a little bit towards the mid-pack here. Seeing a little bit of that separation early on. Definitely not what you want to see here, but definitely something that he's going to have to work around and try and fight as best as he possibly can. And starting to see, I believe that is lap traffic actually. John Binder, the number 33 machine, going to be down a lap here at this moment, coming up behind Barry Stevens in that number 78 machine. So Barry rounding out the top 10 at this moment, holding on to 10th. Not exactly having a horrible race, but definitely not seeing those opportunities that he may have been hoping for on this last restart. Jeffrey Meyer going to be duking it out alongside Evan Longacre down the back straightaway as we come into turns 3 and 4. Meyer down onto the inside, able to make the pass effectively up ahead of Evan Longacre. Longacre continuing for his fight up to the front. And Gareth McAllister joining us here in the chat here as well. Gareth, one of my esteemed colleagues and friends here with Team Goon Squad, a good commentator. Gareth asking us, what's your favorite pizza, or can you not say? Pineapple on pizza, I like it. What are my thoughts? Well, Gareth, you pose a very good question, or questions. My favorite pizza, oh boy. I'm going to have, you know what? No, this isn't even a question for me. It's breakfast pizza. It doesn't have to be a specific kind of breakfast pizza. As long as it has breakfast type ingredients on it, it's automatically my favorite. I work at a pizza place for my day job, so I mean, I can't exactly get too far into it because I've tried a lot of different pizza. But I definitely would have to say a breakfast style pizza is the way to go. It's phenomenal. If you haven't tried it, you need to. It's a game changer. It's mind blowing. Anyway, pineapple on pizza, however, I think that's personal preference. Gordon Ramsay might not agree. Little old broadcaster me, I can't make an opinion on it because, hey, you know what? A ham, a pineapple, and a bacon pizza, let me tell you, it's pretty good. And now that Gareth has got me thinking about food here, right on cue. Starting to develop a little bit of an appetite now, but I'm developing more of an appetite for the racing here as things progress on, and I'm starting to wonder, kind of thinking about, is what we're going to see as far as pit strategies from these guys going a little bit further into the race now. Kind of judging by the stage break, I would have to say that probably around lap 110 to 120 is when we're going to see drivers make their way down through the pits here once again. And that'll be the last time that we see drivers make any sort of pit stops here. So will things come down to a fight in the pits is what I'm kind of wondering here for at least the top 3 spots. Maybe even some of these positions here in general. As right now, no one's really giving any opportunities to anybody. Everyone's staying very consistent here, utilizing that same bottom lane, not getting too aggressive on the entries or the exits. Everyone doing a very phenomenal job here. You can see Jeffrey Meyer with a really good pull up to Matthew Dyer. Good run there through 1 and 2 for Jeffrey Meyer, and possibly going to make a run through 3 and 4. No, he's not. He's going to keep things nice and tame here. The mighty meat, Doug Middendorf with his favorite pizza. You know, and you can't go wrong with an all-meat pizza, especially if the ingredients are homemade. At least the sausage that we have here at the place I work at, it's all homemade. It's very, very delicious. But there's all sorts of great pizza out there in the world. And what's also great is the BDR fan team out here cheering on Braxton DeWeese in the number 8 machine. It's great to see all of you coming out here and cheering on this driver, doing a phenomenal job moving up into 9th place after this restart here. So up 6 spots in total. Trying to see if he can do anything further here. And so while a lot of this field is still out here, still racing, we've had a few drivers retire here tonight. Chris Hansen, Julio Villalobos, Scott Steffens, those 3 drivers have retired from the race and will, I don't think, are going to be coming back here tonight. Are going to be watching the race from behind the pits for the remainder of the race. But Scott Steffens, or excuse me, Brandon Andrews, Matt Knight, and John Binder all still out here racing. Going to be a few laps down at the moment, but still clicking off laps, still trying to do everything that they can, despite everything that they've had to deal with tonight. Gareth, I eat my soup with chopsticks. The trolling never ends here between myself and Gareth. Alright, so lap 76 of 169 at this point in the race. Everything is looking calm and steady for really this entire field. Even looking at my timing and scoring, looking at any potential mistakes that drivers may or may not have made here, everyone's done a phenomenal job. I've only seen the occasional driver coming into the pits or just seeing the occasional pass being made, but otherwise, everyone doing a phenomenal job here at this point. And I do believe Braxton DeWeese, unfortunately, has called it a night here. He has come down into the pits and is no longer turning any laps. I think he has gotten out of the car and will not be turning any more laps here tonight. A very sad end here for the number 8 drivers race, but I think at for a lot of the field here tonight, for a lot of drivers, it's not going to matter to them as much. I mean, really, it's all going to come down to the top 4 in the playoffs. This is really who the race is for and where points are being counted for. So everyone else is showing up and just having a good time and putting on a race here. So not exactly too uncommon to see drivers kind of take it out of the race a little bit earlier than expected. So unfortunate to see for the 8 driver, but again, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I'm not sure if internet had anything to do with it. It does appear that Braxton made his way into the pits on his own power and has gotten out of the car. So I'm not sure if there was just other things outside of the race that he needed to tend to, or if he was just not really having a good night overall behind the wheel. So whatever the decision was, it had to be made. So unfortunately, that is going to be the end of yet another driver's race here tonight, bringing the total up to 4 drivers out of the race. But yeah, Gareth, so the only reason I mention that is because apparently, and you might be able to find this on YouTube, there was this guy that ate water with chopsticks. He drank a glass of water using chopsticks. I don't know, but yeah, that's what people are doing with their free time these days, I guess. So, lap 82 of 169, getting a little bit closer to that expected, or well, rather guesstimated, pit window that we have here up in the booth. I'm thinking, again, about lap 110, 120, somewhere in that neighborhood. So just under 30 to 40 laps left here before we see that potentially go underway. Oh, Chris DeWeese coming in chat saying a lot of front right damage. Car was no good, and I did see that in the broadcast, but I wasn't too sure if that damage was having any sort of effect on that car, but ultimately it does appear that it was. And that's the unfortunate thing. Sometimes, up here in the booth, we can't exactly always see what the damage actually is, and really that's just how the sim racing world kind of is. You can't really see it, and there's no real good way to be able to say, like, hey, that's actually broken, other than just being appearing to look broken. You have to be behind the wheel to kind of feel the effects of that damage. Alan's Art Images saying there's always the next race, and that is absolutely true. And I'm more than certain that a lot of these drivers here after this season, they're going to come back and they're going to take things up a notch going into 2023. So I'm excited to see that, and I hope that you all are as well. It's going to be a phenomenal start to their 2023 season, I do believe. And hopefully, us here at Team Goon Squad will be back for the next season, and we'll bring you coverage of that action going into next year. David Santini starting to see a little bit of pressure from Jamie Knopp here in the 48 machine. Getting right up on the tail here of the 79 driver, so potentially going to see David Santini potentially get put down a position here. And it makes me wonder what David's tires are kind of looking like, what the temperature, what kind of wear they have at this point, because Jamie seems to be doing a very good job here of tracking down David. And if you'll remember, David had an impressive lead before that stage break. I mean, he was sitting at almost 5 seconds of a gap between himself and the rest of the pack. So it's not like David just suddenly fell off and, is turning on horrible lap times. That's just not the case. There's definitely something more to it than that. And I suspect that it could be something to do with the fact that, the sun has started to set here. The lights are on here at Nashville. So temperatures on the track are going to come down just a little bit, and that's going to help improve the grip here at Nashville. So some drivers might start to feel that rear end start to tighten up a little bit. They'll be able to really start to drive these turns a little bit more effectively and carry more speed through them, helping them make some potential passes here, and also potentially bringing out some mistakes from drivers that might be used to a little bit of a more slick racetrack, relying on that rear end, wanting to get a little bit loose from them, so on and so forth. A lot of different challenges that drivers have to face throughout the length of tonight's race. So lap 91 of 169, just about 20 laps to go before we see that, again, that guesstimated pit window start to come to life here. And just out of curiosity here, I'm actually real curious. I want to see what's going on here. I want to ride on board with Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, catch a Jamie Knopf via tow. We're going to take a lap on board here. A couple laps on board here with Jamie Knopf, and let's have a listen into the sights and sounds here at Nashville Superspeedway for the battle for first place. Jamie doing an absolutely impressive job here, trying to keep himself up with David Santini. And what I'm more impressed by is the fact that Jamie has been able to keep himself within a quarter of a second of the race leader, who, again, we saw him just drive away the lead before that stage break came out. I mean, again, seeing that almost nearly a 5-second gap between himself and the rest of the field, that was just absolutely incredible to see. Matthew Dyer here chasing behind Billy Fitzgerald in that number 22 machine. You can see rear end of that 22 car getting a little bit loose here in some spots of the track, and really, I think we might start to see a little bit of that here as the race progresses on. So still waiting to see when that pit cycle is going to start here for the drivers throughout the field. And right now, the one that I think is, I don't know, David Santini, he might try and stay out a little bit longer than the rest of the field here, but then again, he might not. He's shown that he's got the pace to go here, and really, this green flag pit stop is going to be critical here because, I mean, a lot of things, different scenarios can play out here, and if you're thinking of one in particular right now, it could definitely happen. Everything is going to come down to a very, very close battle. And given that all these drivers, I mean, granted, they're not exactly within tenths of a second of each other, when they decide to come down to the pits is going to play a huge role in how close they come out to their opponent, and so on and so forth. And right now, with looking at the pit lap times here as well, you're going to be in the pits for at least 46 to 47 seconds before you get back out on the track. So in lap times here are only about 30 to 31 seconds. So one way or another, you're going to be put a lap down from the rest of the field, but obviously once the field cycles through, that won't be the case anymore. However, you also want to think about, you know, when your opponents are going to come out on the track. You know, you're going to have gap times of potentially 15 seconds if, you know, you come out at the wrong time. It's at the end of the day, you're going to come out when you come out, and you're going to have to just work with what you have. But you also want to do everything that you can to make sure that you get as good of an opportunity to have a fight once you come out of the pits. So just waiting to see if anyone's going to make that happen here tonight. And lap 105 of 169 starting to see the separation of this field really come into play here, as now this is really the only battle that we have out here on track at this moment between Stephen Davis and Billy Fitzgerald. And speaking of pit stops here, we do have Matthew Dyer making his way down here in the number 2 machine. Going to be the first driver to take the pit stop here at lap 106. And he should be able to make it all the way until the end here. Evan Longacre appears to have had a little bit of a moment here. We didn't quite catch it on camera, but seems to have gotten off track for just a split second, if that. Oh, you can see that rear end is getting mighty dangerous here for Evan Longacre. Does a full 360 out of turn 4. Almost trouble. Gets down into the grass on the front straightaway just outside of pit road here. He's going to back it up. Oh, maybe. I don't know. There he goes back out onto the racetrack and trying to get that car going here again. just narrowly avoiding that caution. I don't even know how there wasn't a caution brought out there, but that was a very close incident. And Evan Longacre continuing to fight that 95 machine. Let's take a look from the inside here. Oh, man, look at him. Those tires must be completely scrubbed at this point. On the verge of just popping right off the rim probably now at this point. Oh boy, Tokyo drifting it through 1 and 2. Oh man. Right on the exit of pit road here. Come on, Evan, you got to bring it into pits. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. This is not enjoyable to watch. As a fellow sim racer, this is painful. I feel very bad for Evan Longacre right now. Oh gosh, it only gets worse. Oh no, Evan. Well, hopefully for Evan Longacre, he's able to bring it into the pits sometime eventually, but he's also down a couple laps now at this point, so either way, his race is not looking too good at this point. So luckily for Barry Stevens, I mean, if he's able to continue on the way that he is, he should be able to hold on to his third place playoff spot. And Colby Baber will be able to retain his second place spot, and David Santini potentially will come home with the championship. And yellow flag is out here for the second time tonight officially in Evan Longacre. I believe going to be the route of the caution here. There's the slide out of 4. Same of much of what we've seen similar before. And I think the caution is going to be here for getting the car back on track. It's going to be a slow car on track, and definitely not what you want to have for other drivers out on track there. So not ideal situation here, but for Evan Longacre, that's tough break. I gotta wonder here now if there's some damage done to there. That front left tire looks like it's canted in a little bit more than it should be. I don't know if he's taken any contact to that left side or not, but and he's continuing to stay out here. I think at this point, Evan's trying to get his laps back as well under caution while he still has some time here. I think he's going to pass. No, he's not. So he's going to stay with the pace car here. He might actually get the wave around here as well. So might even be staying out for that, waiting for that wave around. Evan Longacre in an extremely tough situation here at this point in the race. I can't imagine the frustration here for Evan Longacre. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it one bit. Jack Mundy says replacing the F3 stream does that mean League Zero is done? Did League Zero complete their season? That must be why Gareth was here earlier. That would explain things. All right, and while it's lap 118 of 169 here, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will have more of the action here for the championship, the playoffs, the Final Four here for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. Welcome back, race fans. Lap 119 of 169. Lights are off on the pace car as we come down the back straightaway. Going through turns 3 and 4, we will see that pace car make its dive back down into pit road. And once we go through the Geico restart zone, the green flag will drop for what I believe will be probably the last time here at Nashville Superspeedway. So long as there's no jitters here for the drivers in the end stage of the race here. With 50 laps left to go. Time to boogity boogity. Green flag drops here once again, and David Santini, I mean, got to give credit here to the 79 driver for leading every single lap this race. He has not been put down a position at all this entire race and has led every single lap of the 120 laps that we've done here at Nashville. Single file through the top 6 here at the moment and throughout the rest of the majority of this field. See Stephen Davis trying to get up to the tail end of Billy Fitzgerald. Trying to see what he can do, and Colby Baber as well, having moved up into the second place spot here. Trying to track down David Santini for the lead and potentially take the winning spot here. Side by side between Jamie Knopp, Colby Baber as they go through turns 1 and 2. Jamie up ahead of Colby into the second place spot. These two continuing to swap positions as the race continues on, each having a response to one another's passing attempts here. taking a ride on board there with Jeffrey Meyer for just a moment, just getting some of the action there along with Jeffrey Meyer and Nitro Racing, one of the sponsors here for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza National Series. Steven Davis still trailing behind Jeffrey Meyer here in the number 50 machine, trying to get as close as he possibly can. For David Santini right now, this time around having a little bit more success, being able to build a little bit more of a gap between himself and the rest of the field. Sitting right now at about a second between himself and second place driver Jamie Knopf, whom also has been able to get away from Colby Baber after that little bit of an exchange for positions for that second place spot. Again, drivers in the playoffs, in the Final Four, are fighting for a total prize pool of $630. First place coming home with $220.50. Second place, $173.25. Third place coming home with $141.75. In fourth place with $94.50. So even if they don't get quite the best race to end out their season here, they still get to walk away with some cash in their pockets, which will always be a good feeling. And for David Santini, it will be a very well-deserved and well-earned finish to his season. This was an incredible fight here for David Santini leading up to this moment. As now, with only a few, under 25 laps it looks like left to go here. Or almost 30 laps left to go here, excuse me. Jeffrey Meyer, Steven Davis duking it out side by side as they come out of turn 4. Meyer a little bit into the wall in 4. Meyer now having to drop back a position here behind Steven Davis in the number 90 machine. Barry Stevens, he's on a mission here in the number 78 machine, making a pass around Jeffrey Meyer. Stevens currently sitting in that third place spot in the playoffs, trying to see what he can do here in the final few laps of the race. Now under 30 laps left to go. Definitely a ways away from the top three, but trying to see if potentially he can work himself up to Steven Davis in that number 90 machine and potentially work his way up into the top 5 here. Taking a look out of the rear view of David Santini's 79 machine, you can see Jamie Knopf in the 28 car, the 48 rather, just behind David Santini as they come down the back straightaway, heading into 3 and 4 now. There it is, 25 laps left to go on the top left-hand side of your screens. The final 25 laps is going to be still a little ways for these drivers to take it, but for David Santini, I mean, I don't think he's going to have much to worry about here, considering his consistency all night long. You can see Billy Fitzgerald and Colby Baber here in third and fourth place. Looking at Billy Fitzgerald right now, he's almost about a second behind Colby Baber right now. And frankly, a lot of this field is rather separated from one another. The closest battle is between Jamie Knopf and David Santini here for that first place spot. And for Jamie Knopf, I mean, he's not even really fighting for playoffs or anything like that, considering he's not one of the the Final Four, but he is looking to finish his season out here on a high note. Jamie Knopf looking extremely consistent here, following along with David Santini, you know, just trying to mimic his line work, trying to see if he can reel him in any way possible. $18 laps left to go here, and we are getting a little bit of a ride along there with Jamie Knopf for just a moment. Starting to see Steven Davis get himself a little bit closer to the rest of the field. Colby Baber starting to see Billy Fitzgerald start to reel him in here a little bit. 17 laps left to go. It's still a little bit of time left here, but time is definitely ticking. Matthew Dyer, the number 2 machine, has come down here into the pits relatively late in the race, and not entirely... Oh, yeah, okay, I can see why now. So, Matthew's definitely seen some better days here out on track. That will ultimately probably be the reason for himself coming down into the pits, having too much damage to that number 2 machine. But props to him for keeping it out that long. Billy Fitzgerald trying to still do what he can to close in on Colby Baber in these final few laps to see what he can potentially do here, but 12 laps left to go. 11 as we cross the checkered line. Time is still ticking away here, and driver's not going to have a whole lot of time left here to make anything happen before too long. And as we come across the checkered line with only 9 laps left to go, at this point, I got to imagine that David's going to have this one in the bag here. I mean, anything can still happen in these last few laps, but David has been so consistent all race long. It's really hard to imagine here that David's going to have any sort of trouble or mistakes going into what is now going to be 8 laps left here for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals, the playoffs, Final 4. And David Santini, after a very, very grueling season and a close battle for the lead here, for the championship, David Santini definitely looking at coming away as the champion here this year. And as we come across the checkered line, it's 3 laps left to go. Down to the wire now for David Santini and Jamie Knopf, as well as the rest of the field. Final chance for drivers to make up positions if they possibly can, and right now the only 2 drivers that may be able to do that are Jamie Knopf and Steven Davis. 2 laps left to go. We're going to ride on board here with second place driver Jamie Knopf. See if he's going to have any moves here for David Santini. Colby Baber's behind him in third place at this moment, but I think Jamie at this point, he's going to have I think it's going to be pretty clear that David Santini's not going to be able to be passed at this moment. Only 2 turns left here for the 79 and the 48 driver. Nice and easy, nice and smooth for both of them. Not taking any risks, not taking any chances here. Out of turn 4, David Santini across the checkered line here, and he will be crowned the champion of the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza National Series. Colby Baber coming home with third place here tonight for the second place spot in the playoffs. Billy Fitzgerald fourth in the race. Stephen Davis coming home fifth in the race. Barry Stevens coming home sixth, but will take that third place spot in the championship. Evan Longacre finding himself a few laps down, only a couple laps down actually here from the rest of the field, but still finishing out the race and going to come home with that fourth place spot in the playoffs. David Santini going to take it to the checkered line and do his well-deserved, well-earned celebratory burnout here, as we're going to go ahead and get ready for our post-race interviews and see what drivers have to say about tonight's race. All right, up first in the booth here tonight, we are going to have Colby Baber, the number 10 machine, coming home with the third place finish here tonight, but coming home with, I do believe, the second place spot in the playoffs here in the Final Four. Colby, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your podium here tonight in the final race of the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza National Series. Colby, you had a fantastic season and really a good fight throughout the playoffs. I mean, qualifying was a little interesting here at Nashville and really kind of, I think, ultimately shaped the outcome of the race here tonight. What do you think you could have done differently to maybe have helped yourself in tonight's race or even in the playoffs in general?
Oh, man, in this race, I needed probably 50 or 100 more horsepower to catch David. David and Jamie, those guys were just in another league. From the start of the run all the way to the end, I was really surprised they didn't fall off as much as everybody else. They just kept a really fast pace the whole race. So as far as my car and setup and everything goes, I felt like I had a great race. I tried to make a few adjustments, but from what I practiced and everything and my strategy coming in, I hit everything that I needed to do. Car was great. I just did not have the pace to keep up with those guys.
Well, Colby, you did a phenomenal job despite that. And looking at your season and looking at your playoffs fight here, what kind of hopes do you have going into 2023? What's kind of your mentality? What do you kind of hope to achieve going into next year and next season?
Yeah, I mean, I started this season off pretty slow. Didn't get some of the finishes that I wanted early on, and then started to kind of find my own as the season went on. Stayed pretty consistent, and then got several wins over the season. So I think next season, if I come back and do a full season, the focus will be on trying to start off stronger, get some of those wins under my belt early on, and just maintain that momentum all the way through the season.
Absolutely. Well, Colby, you did a phenomenal job, not only here tonight at Nashville, but throughout the entirety of the 2022 season. And before we let you go, before you go celebrate with your fellow teammates and fellow drivers, is anyone watching the broadcast at home, anyone in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before we go tonight?
Yeah, besides just the sponsor, simracingzone.com, thank them for the great Toyota Supra tonight, but also got to thank everybody that was involved in the league. Evan, Brandon in race control, David, I think, helps run the league as well. And then their sponsors, Old School Ninjas, Rapid Fired Pizza, all those guys that make it happen. And then thank you guys as well for broadcasting this season. It's been really fun watching the races.
Absolutely. Love to be here, and I love to see you up here on the podium, Colby. It's great to have you up here. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you next season. If we do come back and do the broadcast for you guys again, I certainly would love to be here again for another season with you guys. But Colby, on that note, congratulations once again on not only your podium here tonight, but your second place spot in the playoffs. Congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you when I see you.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Have a good one. All right, that's Colby Baber out of the booth here, taking home third place here tonight. Up next is going to be Jamie Knopp up here, taking home second place in the race here tonight. Jamie, while you weren't necessarily fighting for a spot in the playoffs here tonight, you were definitely looking for a good finish, a good end to your season here for the 2022 season. Coming into tonight, I mean, you definitely seemed to be out. You definitely had a hot set of wheels underneath you, and you were matching David Santini there for a while throughout this race, even getting real close to him, potentially setting up for a couple passes here and there. But Jamie, I mean, what was the goal here tonight? It definitely seemed like a win might have been in your playbook, but didn't quite come out to work out that way. What was kind of your goal here tonight?
Well, this is like one of my favorite tracks, so I was, excited to run. And the first few laps, everybody's car is a little loose with cold tires, and the last thing I wanted to do is spin out in front of the field on the start. So I kind of took it easy, and then I fell back to about fourth, I think, and then drove back to second, and I kind of burnt my right front up when I was having to pass cars. And so I didn't know if I was fast enough to run with David or not. I could kind of see the times pretty close to staying the same, and didn't seem like he was a little better at the end of the run. And then the second run, I was pretty decent, and I could catch him going into turn one, but he would pick up the throttle like same time I would coming off. And so I never really got a good run to try to get under him. And then turn 3 and 4, he was way better than I was. Because I usually go in a little lower and pinch the corner, and he was going in a little wider, and he could come off a little faster than I could. So I knew I wasn't even going to be able to pass him. I was hoping if I got close enough to him, he'd just let me go since he was racing for the championship. but that didn't work out either.
Well, Jamie, I mean, you came out here, you did a phenomenal job. You mentioned it's your favorite track, and you definitely showed that you definitely know what you're doing here at Nashville. So you put on a great performance. Now, again, you weren't really fighting for any playoff spots here, but given your performance throughout this season, what's kind of your outlook going into 2023? Are you hoping for a little bit more success going into 2023, or are you just kind of just going to wing it and hope for the best?
Yeah, I plan to run the full season next year, and hopefully continue to have some good runs. I love racing with all these guys. They do an awesome job, and it's a lot of green flag runs, and so can't wait to next year.
Absolutely. I definitely look forward to it here as well. But Jamie, before we let you go here and go celebrate with your teammates and fellow drivers, as usual, is there anyone watching the broadcast at home, anyone in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
I'd like to thank EPI Setups and everybody at Rapid Fire Pizza for putting on the series, and you for broadcasting.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight, Jamie. It was great having you, and I look forward to seeing you in future races and hopefully get to talk to you again.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Absolutely. You have a good one. All right, that was Jamie Knopp, the 48 driver, out of the booth here tonight, coming home with second place. Last, and certainly is not going to be least here, David Santini, welcome to the booth. Thank you for joining me up here tonight, and I want to say congratulations not only on your win here tonight, but on your championship. You are officially the champion here for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. How does it feel?
It feels great because I missed out on it the last 2 years, second place. So it feels great to finally pull it out here and get the win. Win a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've had an incredible fight here for this championship. It's been very close in points for quite a while. Colby Baber being within, I believe it was about 50 points of yourself. And had he shown up to, what was it? I think it was the Roval. The points might have come a little bit closer, but ultimately at the end of the day, David, you came home with the championship and with the win here tonight, which ultimately I think kind of put the final ticker on your name there as far as coming home with that championship. But David, I mean, all season long you've shown very strong performances and continued to show that even in the final race here tonight. What's your expectations going into next year? You mentioned that you had, 2 years of not being able to get up here and come home with this championship, carrying this momentum forward. What's your goals? What's your hopes? And do you plan to make it a 2-time back-to-back championship next year?
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, I'm already looking forward to next year because, I mean, the group of guys that we have with OSN, with John Bender and Billy and Evan and Barry, I mean, we've been racing so well and working so well together, and I mean, to have 3 of the cars in the championship and almost all 4, I mean, it was really close there. So to have a full year and everybody working together now under our belts and go into next year, with all the experience and all the things that we've learned about each other and what to do and what we want to do and everything, and I don't know, it's gonna be really exciting next year because I think we're just gonna have so much more to put together, so really excited for it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm definitely excited for it. It was definitely exciting here tonight. You led every single lap of the race here tonight. I don't think there was a single moment that you weren't the race leader, unless it was during a caution down in pits or what have you. But David, you had a strong performance here tonight to end off your season, as well as to end off your championship here for the 2022 season. But David, before I let you go here and crack open that well-deserved cold one, make it 2 cold ones for yourself here tonight. I mean, who do you want to shout out? Who do you want to thank for your success here this season and for this race? The floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. No, for sure. I just want to say thanks to everybody that races in our league, that helps with our league. I mean, there's a lot of, moving parts and pieces to this and a lot of things you have to do and a lot of headaches you have to deal with. So I appreciate everybody sticking around. I appreciate my team, everybody on the team that, like I said, we've been just really working so well together and fun group of guys to hang out with. Well, appreciate you doing the broadcast for us each and every week. That's huge. And, of course, everybody at OSN and Evan with Rapid Fire Pizza as well. And Jeffrey came on board here with Nitro Racing, too, at the end here for the sponsorship and stuff. So big shout out to him, and we really appreciate that as well.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you here once again for joining me up here in the booth, David. Congratulations once again on not only your win, but your championship here for the 2022 season. I look forward to seeing you next year and hopefully get to talk to you in a similar circumstance looking into 2023.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. You have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty, folks. David Santini, your championship, your champion of the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza National Series, out of the booth here, coming home with not only the win, but also the championship. That is going to conclude our coverage here tonight of the playoffs Final 4 here at Nashville Superspeedway. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. I want to thank each and every single one of you who has tuned in here tonight. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 nights a week. Thank you, each and every single one of you, for tuning in and watching, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you all next season, next year here, same time, same place. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.